Welcome back to Three's a Crowd Pod, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 9, where today we're going to talk about the good, bad, and ugly with sports. And we're going to cover an unfortunate event that happened last night, if you guys all caught the Bills game. We're going to talk about our travel experiences. These guys have some interesting stories on that. And we're going to wrap it up with a hot take, as we usually do. So let's get into episode 9, guys. Make sure to...
Make sure you're commenting, subscribing. Make sure you're doing all that fun stuff. Make sure if you're on Spotify, give us a little follow. Make sure you're in it. Make sure you're in it to win it. Make sure you're assessing what we're saying and developing some rational thought in the comments. If you're on our TikTok, leave some stupid comments so I can clap back at you. Just keep giving us some love. Drop some likes, drop some subscribes. Thank you very much.
Guys, let us know your honest opinions down in the comments. Is Ray a Republican, a Democrat, or do you think maybe he's just independent? Let us know.
All right, so I think right now we are actually streaming on YouTube for the first time, which is kind of exciting. I think we are. I can't verify that right now because I'm sitting here, and to get out of this, it's a maze of moving microphones. But I hope we are, and if you're on YouTube, I love it. Thank you for being on YouTube with us. Let's get into sports, gents. Why don't we? So, first, let's address fantasy football, right? Because if you've been listening, you know that we're. Oh, this is Cooper, by the way. All right, Cooper introduced. If you have been watching, you know that we're in a fantasy football league together. I lost in the first round of the playoffs to Andres. Andres advanced. Nick had a first-round bye. This week was our championship week, and Nick absolutely dominated the scene, man. He was. I mean, Andres usually, whenever he plays an opponent, that opponent will go on to score like the least amount of points that they've ever scored in a given week, and somehow the Santaria curse was reversed.
So, for those of you who have been listening to our pod, in week 1 of our fantasy league, I played Andres. And that's when Andres developed what we call the curse. Not him, but he cursed other people. He beat me 150 to my team barely scored 100, maybe 101. And since then, Andres' team, who everyone recognized as fairly mediocre in the fantasy world, not great. He would always find a way to score 110 points, while an opponent who had a better team on paper scored less than 100 almost every time. And Andres was in the top 3 for like most of the season, like almost the whole season. And so with the game before the playoffs, I played Andres and I broke that curse and I beat him. And that's when I started feeling a little positivity. But then the finals game came, and Andres' curse came back with a vengeance. I lost Derrick Henry. I had Tyreek Hill and Jeff Wilson Jr. for the Dolphins, and Tua was out with a concussion. And we had Two Glove Teddy coming in. So I was like, oh, man, the curse is back. But I was able to, just my team didn't do that well, honestly. But Andres' team had a real rough go.
Doesn't really matter when my team scores 69 points. 69, but just not enough to win a championship game, clearly.
Yeah, as commissioner of the league, we have a group chat, so I made it very clear that because Andres and Nick both had players that were left from the Bills game. If you haven't been on the internet at all, or you haven't been watching TV at all, if you've been completely disconnected from all sources of media, then you do not know the super unfortunate events that happened during the Bills game. Damar Hamlin, 24 years old, suffered a cardiac arrest on the field. He's currently in critical condition in the UC hospital up there in Cincinnati. Dude, that's a scary sight. It's a scary sight, man. It's tough to see that. And from what I've heard about, I've watched a couple of videos of doctors, explaining what exactly happened. It was just a matter of timing, right? Like it was just a matter of his heartbeat and when he got hit. So I guess he got hit right above the heart, pretty much in the perfect spot, and a point of like a downbeat. Like it was just like not when his heart was going to be like, pumping more blood. So that induced a cardiac arrest, which is he stood up, he looked fine, and he just passed out. They administered CPR for I think it was like 9 minutes. They got the AED device out to shock his heart back. They're able to get a pulse back, but right now he has a breathing tube in, and he's in critical condition. And it's so tough to see that on the football field, dude. It's so tough, No one really cares about the game at that point. We just, everyone wants to make sure that he's okay and that he's going to be able to, live out the rest of his life, whether or not it's playing football. It shows you that, it's the game is very small compared to the health of the players.
I think it also shows how fragile life is. And, when you see these football players, they're massive guys, balls of muscle, running into each other full speed, taking a beating. And this hit wasn't particularly brutal. It was, I think probably for NFL standards, it would be considered a softer hit. It just happened to be a horrible timing, which the right timing to stop his heart and the right placement of the hit to throw the rhythm of his heart off and cause him to, go into cardiac arrest. And, that does show how fragile we are as humans, because crazy things like that can happen and can really shake up your world and are pretty devastating. But I think at the end of the day, I hope that all the football players realize that if they love the game enough, and I guess I would understand if that scared them enough to, I don't know, even retire. Like I get it. Like you could do other things in life. It's you have options in life, but if they love the game enough and they, are passionate about the sport and passionate about what they do, I hope they continue on and don't play in fear and realize that, like no other way to put it really, shit happens, and it could happen in anything in life where you could wrong place, wrong time type of thing.
I think one of the reporters said it really good, just touching on what you said about life being so fragile and you're not really knowing what can happen, like the next minute, hour, day of your life. He's 24 years old. He was drafted in the 6th round, possibly playing the biggest football game of his whole career. He's playing in a massive division game on a Monday night, prime time. There's probably nowhere else in the world he would have rather been in that moment. And for something like that to happen so unexpected, it really puts into perspective how life can change so fast, which is pretty scary. So, like you were saying, I hope that the NFL takes it serious and the players take it serious, and also realize that what they do is dangerous, but if they really do love the sport, to continue their craft and go forward and understand that this really is a freak accident. I mean, we've been watching football games all of our life and never seen anything like this happen on the field. So not to take it too heavily and just to realize that this isn't something that happens all the time.
I can't even remember a time where we've seen this many serious injuries in a single NFL season ever, dude. Like, it's nuts. Like the amount of concussions that we've seen, the amount of like just people getting up and just having exhibiting gross motor instability. Like it's been really uncomfortable to see how often these guys are getting hurt. Yeah, I know. It's been really uncomfortable to see how much their body suffers. I mean, they're getting paid millions of dollars, but is that worth an early retirement to the grave? Is it is a $60 million contract worth, not being able to remember your wife and kids when you're 45, 50 years old? I mean, I don't know, man.
Dude, and what's sad and touching on some things that there goes Big Man on Twitter yesterday, where people kept saying it's bigger than football. It's bigger than football. They say that, and I say because football is a huge thing in America and worldwide. People get so involved in it, and people get so wrapped up in it. And people do that not just in football, but in everything in life. Like, people get wrapped up in their jobs. People get an obsession over earning, over making money. And then it's when things like this happen. It's when unexpected things like this happen where it snaps people out of their their trance or their obsession, and people are like, holy shit, there's more to life than just this, than just that. And it's I think it's sad that sometimes it has to come to like these things for people to wake up and be like, oh shit, like, wow, this is there's another side to football other than that they're superstars making a ton of money. So, there's a lot of lessons to be learned when things like this happen, because we're compassionate as people, and I hope that this serves as not just a temporary wake up call to, I guess, just generally appreciate life. I think there's a lot that can be taken away from this one incident.
What I was explaining to my mom is that this isn't like this injury or this event is not necessarily unique to football, right? Like right now, Nick can punch me in the exact spot at the exact wrong time, and I could suffer the same fate. Essentially, if it's a hard enough hit, if it's precise enough, and if it's at the right timing, that terrible timing, I can suffer that same fate. So it's not necessarily an injury that is a result of football play and that can be addressed by like extra padding or anything like that. It's like a concussion maybe can be avoided if new technology comes out. I don't know what measures the NFL can take in order to prevent another injury like this happening again. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, I've seen people break legs and break their arms, break their fingers, but I've never seen someone like literally almost die on the football field. I've never seen that, and it's a scary thing for the NFL moving forward.
Yeah, it's definitely been a rough year for the NFL this season. Like you said, never had a season like this where it feels like every week we're talking about somebody getting a concussion, somebody going out for the year. So I'm curious to see how the NFL is going to respond to this, and hopefully, I know there's not drastic changes that can be made. I mean, these are injuries at the end of the day, and I wonder if they'll ever get to the bottom of it. I personally think that people with technology are just getting stronger, faster. Like, these hits are just becoming way more violent, and not because the individual is violent or trying to hurt the other person. It's just the defensive end that used to be 6'6", 310 pounds and used to just bust through the line and hit the quarterback is now a 6'6", 265-pound absolute stallion of an individual who's running a 4.5 40 and moving like a running back who's half his size. That's scary. You see these linebackers that are built with muscle from head to toe running like if they were a running back or a sprinter, hitting people at full speed. I mean, there's got to be these. I mean, people will get hurt like that. That's just a fact. So I'm wondering what the NFL can even do about this, and if they really have to put their foot forward with the technology and really look at the gear from head to toe and see where they can make improvements. Because I agree with both of you. This year has been pretty tragic. I mean, we've seen so many key players go down. We've seen so many teams battle with injuries. I don't know how many teams are playing with a third or second string quarterback, and it's funny because this was the year that they went so hard last year and this year on don't hit the quarterback this way. Don't do this. Don't do that. You can't hit somebody like this, targeting here. And it's like, it's clearly not working because people are continuing to get hurt. Quarterbacks are going down left and right. So I don't know if it has to do with the rule, it has to do with the gear, but I think the NFL is in an interesting place right now compared to all the other sports on this injury plague they're kind of dealing with. And I'm curious to see how they're going to be able to respond to this.
I mean, I think it's also important to note that football is inherently a more physical sport than any other sport. That I mean, hockey is hockey's very physical, but football, you're using every part of your body on every single play. And, I mean, injuries are going to happen. No one could foresee the thing that happened to Damar Hamlin happening, but you have to expect to a certain extent that injuries are going to occur, and the NFL is responsible for keeping their players safe and promoting safety. But getting away from the NFL and all these terrible things that are happening, I want to formally congratulate Nick on winning the championship. First place winner right here. Yes, he is our third winner in league history. I was the first. And Andres in second place for the second time. Oh, second time, second placer. All right. Maybe next year will be your year. Maybe not. But yeah, I mean, fantasy football has been fun, man. It's always a good time to go out there and compete with your friends, talk some shit, put some money into it, and just whoever makes the best moves makes the best moves.
I just want to read, for anybody that follows fantasy football, I just want to read my lineup out that I started in the championship game. So anybody who follows fantasy football can be appalled at this lineup I trotted out. Quarterback, Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania gave me a good semifinals game. Crazy, 28 points. Justin Jefferson, worst performance of the season. I mean, Zaire Alexander locked him up. Got one pass for 15 yards. Jahan Dotson. Leonard Fournette. Brian Robinson. Darren Waller. Brandon Cooks. Evan McPherson. And the Kansas City defense. I have players from the worst offenses in the NFL starting all over my lineup. And somehow I was able to make it through the season. I think I counted, I only had 2 weeks with the same lineup in the whole entire year. It was just constantly different people playing roles. So I want to give myself a pat on the back for making it all the way, collecting my second place winnings with an absolute dog shit team. Literally, and I just want to say I had Jalen Hurts, lost him, still made it through the finals. So it was a tough year for me, but it's all right. We collected. We made our money back, and we'll be back next year.
I had a side note that I just thought about, and last thing I want to touch on with football is that you mentioned it's an inherently violent physical sport, and honestly, I don't have statistics or anything, and I don't have guys. We don't have producer Marco here today. He's on a hiatus.
No, producer Marco's on right now.
He's on, but he's not here, physically here. So you know what? He's on his paid vacation time. But dude, I watch football and I watch MMA. It doesn't seem like there's as many life-altering injuries in MMA as there are in football. Like in MMA, yeah, you have broken bones, but you have that in football too, and broken bones are usually not super severe. Like you fix your bone, you get a cast, and it's better. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Because I haven't heard about anything really just crazy happening in MMA.
That's nuts. I mean, dude, like just watching. I kind of get grossed out watching MMA, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like when I see someone break their fibia on a kick, I want to fucking vomit, dude. It's disgusting. And they fucking land back on it, and their fucking leg folds in half. It's gross. I hate seeing it. That's not a life altering. Like you said, it's not a life altering injury per se. I mean, maybe you won't be able to. Maybe you walk with a little limp. You know what I'm saying? A little limp. But like your life isn't like your life expectancy isn't going to be any shorter. But I don't know. Like the blows that these guys take to the face, to the back of the head, to the throat. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how long MMA's been around for, like to the level it's at right now, like with the competitiveness that it's at right now. But I'd like to see what these guys are like when they're in their 50s or 60s, because I'm sure they're not going to be in good shape. I'm positive they're not going to be in good shape.
You never hear about concussions though, which is interesting, or at least maybe rarely hear about them.
Yeah, I feel like a part of that has to do with the level of media coverage. I think the fantasy aspect of the NFL has created this insane like obsession with individual players now in the NFL, where there's people on teams that maybe nobody would have ever spoken of, but it happens to be 50,000 people's running back for that season. So the second he gets hurt, everybody knows about it. It's all over social media. People are posting about it 24/7. And I think that that's why we are now seeing so much more injuries in the NFL, because it's so relevant to so many people. And I don't know if, from an MMA perspective, if we're getting like if the guy in the prelim card got knocked out and he got a concussion, I don't think they're going to report that he had a concussion. He got knocked out, quote unquote, and we're not going to hear too much about it. Where the backup running back for the Redskins, who nobody probably wants to talk about, but might be playing on 50,000 people's fantasy team as a flex player, gets blown up and gets carted off the field. Everybody's talking about it. So, and I feel like the MMA is so like gruesome, and like so like these injuries are almost expected because they're literally people beating the living crap out of each other, that I don't even know if they tell us like the extent of their injuries like in full.
I will say, when you watch a full card, usually like things will come out where the guy will say, yeah, I sprained my wrist sparring, but I decided to fight. And they usually disclose even little things like a sprained wrist. And I feel like they always talk about the like, oh, I pulled my hamstring, but I still decided to fight. Like, I don't know. I feel like they do mention it, and I think a concussion, specifically a concussion, would be a very serious thing. Like, hey, buddy, you got a concussion and you're about to go get your head smacked around. Like, I don't think that would fly. So I mean, maybe they're not as like, maybe they don't make you be as upfront about your injuries as football is now. Like, maybe it's like the way football used to be, where they cover things up if you, the player, want to. So maybe it is like that, but I don't know. Like, a lot of times, like, the main fighters, they fight. They just fight. Like, they're not out. They fight. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do agree, because I didn't think of that point of how they do disclose a lot of those minor injuries. And I think something also to note is that when they do spar and then they are like going towards, they do wear those headgear things, and they avoid like face shots. Like, the guy he's sparring is not trying to knock him out. He's trying to knock out the guy who's signed up to be a sparring partner. But I do agree that it is interesting, like, that the level of injuries that we've seen in the NFL, especially concussion, and that like hyper focus in that concussion category. And I know it's also due to the fact that they changed what a concussion is now. Like, the concussion protocol and everything became way more serious and way more black and white, where it used to be pretty vague. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they asked guys like, yo, do you want to get back in there? And they said, yeah. And they said, all right, go get in there. And that's not okay anymore. And I think that the Tua situation was one of the biggest ones that brought to light, like, hey, like, we need to take this more serious. Like, look at this guy. He probably shouldn't have been playing, and he got reconcussed. And I mean, you were watching that game. It looked like he might have died on the field, that Bengals game, where he's got his fingers all crinkled up. Like, that's scary. And the NFL doesn't want to see that, because the fans don't want to see that at all. Like, we're adults, and like a lot of adults watching the game can comprehend what happened. But imagine a little kid whose favorite player is Tua and sees him on the ground like that with his fingers. I mean, you're freaking out. Like you don't know, you're too little to comprehend. Oh, it's a concussion. Like that happens sometimes with the hands. Like da da da. So the NFL, I think, like definitely needs to get a little bit of a rein on what's going on here.
No, I mean,
Hey, dude, but like real quick, I don't think these types of injuries are funny, but I don't know why Ray insists that Tua was just throwing up gang signs. Like, I don't know, dude. It's kind of messed up.
I mean, everyone knows Tua's gang affiliated in Hawaii. Anywho, I mean, dude, I played football. I mean, I played offensive line, and I never suffered a concussion. And I mean, the teammates that did suffer concussion, they're out for 7 days and they're back next week. they're back practicing on Monday morning. So it's not even that it's not taken seriously on a professional level. It's not taken seriously on a smaller scale. So you could imagine, like how many times these guys have been exposed to head injuries before they get to the NFL. Like even if they start at Pop Warner, dude. If you start at Pop Warner, you're 6, 7, 8 years old, and you could literally start getting concussed that young. Yeah. You start getting concussed at 7 years old. Then you go to high school, 14, 15, 16, 17. Go to college. You're in college for 2 years. You're supposed to practice every single day, contact every single day. You get to the pros. Bro, by the time that you're an adult and you're retired from the NFL, what is left of your brain? Literally, like, what is left of your brain? It's fucking terrifying. I want my kids to play football. If I do have kids, please God. But, dude, it's seeing these head injuries at a professional scale and knowing that they're suppressed from every level below that. It's a tough sell to like want your kid to play football. It's a tough sell. It's a wonderful sport, dude. Most camaraderie you'll ever feel on any type of sporting team, in my opinion. But it's a hard sell to convince yourself to allow your child to play football right now. It's just the technology's not there. Head injuries cannot be prevented on a sure scale. Neck injuries are still very prevalent. I mean, these are life altering injuries that you're exposing your children to at very young ages and progressing through as they advance through life. It's
Before we jump over to the next thing, I feel like since it's a personal episode, I might as well share my concussion story. In 8th grade, we're on the 8th grade basketball team. Champions, by the way. Champions. Awesome squad. And I didn't get to finish the season.
You guys tell me we're all here.
Yeah. We're all on the same team, by the way. Nick, Ray, me, and then we had a few of our other friends. Cambo, Ethan, JR. Shout out that basketball team. Awesome squad. But I didn't get to finish the season because one of the games midway through, I went up for a rebound. I was the taller person on the team at that time. I went up for a rebound and someone came under my legs and I landed on my head. And I clearly had a concussion, stood up, felt like I didn't remember the last couple plays. They were asking me questions on the bench, and I was just not answering correctly. They were asking me where we were. I said New York. They were asking me what I wanted. I said ice cream. And I do remember that day we left, and we didn't really take it that serious. I went to have dinner, felt really weird. Nothing ended up happening. I know my eyes were dilated. And I signed off my own concussion forms, forged them, turned them into the school. I don't think anything can happen to me now. Turned them into the school, and I played that next basketball game. That next basketball game, I set a pick, and I fell back and hit my head. And I got up. Obviously, adrenaline gets you through those first few seconds. I got up, got to the line for the foul, and I just blacked out. I fell backwards. Our coach caught me. They put me on the bench. I had to go to the hospital. And I literally didn't remember what happened. I just stood up, and the next thing you knew, I was on the bench drinking Gatorade, and it was just falling out of my mouth. So it is very serious. And looking back, I hate that I took it so lightly, and it's scary seeing it at this professional level. But it is very common. Young athletes can easily get concussions playing sports, and I think it's something that we need to take really serious because we're seeing the results on live television of what can really happen to a fully developed adult who's in the best shape of their life. So if these people are can't battle it or are dealing with these injuries. I think we need to pay a lot of attention to the kids aspect as well, because like Ray said, these football kids are playing pee-wee football at 7 years old, and they don't know how to tackle. They don't know how to have proper form. They're just going head first at the other person who's coming head first at them. So it is kind of a scary topic because, like Ray said, I mean, I had my cousin over here who has a 2-year-old son, and he's a diehard sports guy. Loves soccer, loves football, loves baseball. All he wants to do is for his son to turn 3 years old so he can put him at the little community sports thing. And he said yesterday, he's like, I love football, but I would not be upset if my son said he didn't want to play that sport. And I would not recommend that he go play that sport. If he chooses it himself, I'm not going to stand in between it, but I'd be more than happy to know that he didn't want to play football. And it's kind of sad because it's not somebody who hates football. It's not somebody who doesn't know about football. It's somebody who's genuinely concerned for their child after watching all of these brutal injuries. So I think that's like the sad part about this.
Dude, I know what could be a fix, permanent fix. They wear those scuba diving helmets that have the mask in the front that cover the shoulders, so your head can't move. You know what I'm saying? If we implement something like that, concussions are obsolete. But the thing to touch on your point is, you could train your body to become more athletic. You could become stronger. You could train yourself to endure pain, but you can't strengthen your brain. You can't make this massive thing on our little necks. Also, some guys have big ass necks. Tyreek, shout out to Tyreek. You can't, this thing wobbles, and if you get hit from the side on the lower body, you can't prevent it. So scuba mask it is, I guess.
And I mean, it's not even, before we transition to like the more personal stuff, it's not even a concern of size, right? Because I'm a bigger dude, right? When I was playing football, I was 275, almost 300 pounds. I'm about 6'3", so like I'm a bigger guy. And like my
Boy, it was
parents,
juicy.
my parents were still, legitimately concerned for my safety. You know what I mean? Because it's not necessarily who I'm going against, not necessarily how big you are. It's just like the unknown, like what can happen to you out there. When I was playing, I played pee-wee football for a year, and I had neck roll. I was the guy with the neck roll out there.
Shout out the Bulldogs.
So it's just, it's not necessarily my kid's too small to play football. No, your kid's not too small. Those kids might be bigger than him, but it's the unknown. It's that one hit that your kid doesn't tell you about, that he comes home and he throws up throughout the night, and then it's just he wakes up fucked up in the next morning. You know what I mean? It's just, I want my kid to play football so bad, dude, but like it is going to be so difficult to make that decision as a parent. Like I didn't even know Andres had that conversation with his cousin yesterday. I had no idea. I did not know that, and like that was just me like using my common sense as an adult, that wants to have kids, that making that decision for your child to play football is an extremely difficult one with what we've seen in the NFL this year. But yeah, man.
If we want to jump over to the next topic, we want to just kind of share some experiences on our travel, because if anybody hasn't been paying attention to the news, travel's been ridiculous lately, from flight cancellations to fights on planes to all of these insane things. So we figured we'd just keep the episode a little personal, share some of the stories. I just finished traveling. I went with my family to Beaver Creek, Colorado to go skiing. I know all three of us love skiing. Nick hasn't had the chance to go in a while, but we're working on making that happen. A little boys trip, getting out there, hitting the slopes. Ray's been skiing all of his life. My brother and I got to ski for the first time in I think it was 2 years together, which was awesome. But the experience that we had was great. It was awesome, but just two funny stories. If you know skiing, if you get on the wrong chairlift, you might get a little screwed. Not every chairlift offers you these beautiful greens and blues. And Nico and I were skiing in Vail, Colorado. We had not done that mountain yet. And we stumbled upon the incorrect chairlift that took us to the peak of the mountain in the for anybody that knows, the legendary back bowls of Vail. It's very famous. Took us to the wrong side of the mountain. And not only, we can do blacks. We weren't that worried about that. We've done some black runs, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But something we started to notice as we kept climbing on the chairlift was that the blacks weren't just like typical black runs, like where you get to go, get going, and then eventually you get that cliff. No, the whole run was a cliff, and you had about a 5-foot drop in to start this run. Like if we were these pro skiers that were not, I think we counted. And it's funny because a lot of realizations were happening when we were realizing that we had to go and get down this mountain. We counted. We've been skiing 5 times or 4 times, but we haven't skied more than a total of 13 days in our whole life. So it's not like we're some pro skiers. So that was a little concerning. We made it, got through it, got down, took about 45 minutes. But I think the funniest thing that happened while we were skiing was, so when we were in Vail, my brother was looking up the different runs, and he found a run that was Lindsey Vohn's favorite run to ski in the world. So we were like, wow, that's badass, like Lindsey Vonn. We didn't do it. Completely missed it, completely forgot about it. I didn't forget about it. And I thought that the next day was the day that we were talking about that. So we're back at Beaver Creek, and Nico goes, oh, let's do Ripsaw. Like, this is Ripsaw, the famous run. So I'm like, perfect. I'm fucking Lindsey Vonn out there. I'm cutting through the thing. I'm like, I'm a professional skier right now. I feel amazing. Nico's going with it too. He's just telling me, yeah. I'm like, Lindsey Vonn. He's like, yep, Lindsey Vonn. So we get to the point where we're like, this is easy. Like, it's got the moguls, but it's not that steep. We get to the point where, and we've been going on this run now probably 10 minutes. I'm tired. It's the 4th day we've been skiing. And then the cliff comes out all of a sudden. So we stop. We're like, we need a little break. So our thing was, when we needed that little extra motivation to get down some of the blacks, we had some fireball shooters in the backpack. So we're like, you know what? Let's take the skis off, sit down on a mogul, and pop a shooter. So that's what we do. We do it. We go. We kill it. We get through the whole run. Nothing funny happens. We make it through the bottom. But the best part is, I'm pumped. I'm like, dude, we just crushed Lindsey Vohn's run. And Nico is continuing to say, yep. Then I share this story with my parents, and then he cuts me off and says, all right, I didn't think you were going to share it, but Lindsey Vohn's run was yesterday. I've been lying to you the whole day. That was just some random black we did. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I'm over here jacked to the tits thinking that we just crushed this famous Lindsey Vonn run. And he tells me at the end of the day, oh, sorry, I didn't think you were going to share it, so I didn't want to take away from your fun, so I was letting you just go with it. And I'm like, what the hell? So I just spent the whole day, literally the whole day, thinking that I ended my ski trip at a high, that I just crushed some famous skier's favorite run in the world, and it was so fake. And he just let it ride all the way till I opened my mouth to anybody but him. And I'm like, dude, come on. Like, you can't do that to me.
You can't take that away from me, man.
I know, right? How are you going to take that away from me? I'm thinking I'm the best skier in the world. I'm like, dude, I haven't skied more than 13 total days. People ski all of their life, don't do any blacks, pay thousands of dollars for lessons. I didn't need that. I'm Lindsey Vonn already. I crushed it. No falls.
You crushed the Lindsay Lohan slope.
That's exactly what happened. Whatever the B grade Lindsay is, which we can go with Lindsay Lohan for this episode, that was Lindsay Lohan's favorite run. And there was nothing significant, nothing special about it, other than the fact that a huge group of skiers watched us stop in the middle of the run and drink alcohol and then just take off down the slope.
Dude, I just thought about it. I've been skiing for 16 years. 16 years since I was 7 years old. That's pretty crazy, dude. I've been to. We usually go to Deer Valley. It's a ski only resort, but I've been to Vail. I've been to Park City. I've been to Deer Valley, dude. And honestly, bro, like, I'm not good at many things in this life. Like, I'm really not good at many things. But skiing is one of those things that I know I'm good at, and I love it more than anything that I could do. Like, it is like one of the best. Like nothing excites me more than, putting on those boots and going up to the chairlift, man. It is something else, man. And when you're about to just drop in, man, it gets me. It's so nice. It's so nice, man.
I can attest. I've seen this guy ski. It's like butter. You've never seen. And I saw him ski. We went with you, right, when you were still football Ray, I think. Yeah. I got to see this guy at a lean 275 butter down this slope at 150 miles an hour. And Nico can attest to it too. We sat back and we're like, this is impressive. This is an impressive form of athleticism right here. And then the last thing I want to say about my ski experience, which I'm sure you guys will get a laugh at. So we went to this trick park, and you know what? It's the last day. I'm like, dude, if I'm gonna break a bone, why not make it on the last day? I already had my trip. I enjoyed it. Who cares? Look, let's hit the trick park. We go down 2 times, semi-successful. Second time being very successful. Gap both jumps, hit all the little things. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go back a 3rd time. And you know when you do something and you think like, you know what? Maybe like I'm pushing it. Like the second time was great. I hit every jump. I hit the thing. Maybe we should have just called it. We went back. There's got to be 30 people waiting at the trick park right now, just waiting to drop in. And I'm looking at Nico and I'm like, should we just not go? Like, should we just call it? And we're like, let's go. So Nico goes. He's killing it. He's doing good. I'm like, you know what? There's only 15 people left. Everybody seems to be talking. Let me just drop in. I drop in. I am no more than 20 feet away from everybody up on the thing. And I go to hit the first little ramp. My ski clips it. And I eject face first off both skis. Literally eject face first like an eagle into the snow. Face first. I hear everybody laughing at the top of the mountain. And you would think people would be nice. No. People just start dropping in and jumping over my skis, jumping by me. I'm trying to like scatter my stuff into the corner to reboot up. I'm trying to figure out if I'm hurt or not because I just like everything's happening so fast. So if you ever do go to these trick parks and you see these things that look pretty simple, make sure that it's level with the snow because your skis will hit it and you will eject face first off of both skis. I just want to make that clear.
The only input I have to offer in the realm of skiing, really the only things I could remember since it's been so long is that they're both about my dad. I remember that I was good when I was young. You know, I had good balance and I could do. We did blues and blacks only in Vail, which I think Vail's runs are considered like some of the more difficult ones. So I know that I was pretty good. It's just been so long, but. Same thing like you said, you take the wrong gondola and you end up stuck somewhere where if you want a green or a blue option, there's no options. You gotta go the black run. So my dad, who found out he had a torn meniscus, had to do a vertical black run with me, just filled with moguls, and honestly, he crushed it. It was super painful for him, but he crushed it, and I was just at the bottom like, yeah, come on, this is good. And then on the way back all the way down to the bottom of the mountain, as you know, Vail has snowboarders and skiers allowed. A snowboarder just leveled my dad, was hauling ass, didn't know how to stop, trucked him. He flew like 20 feet. He got right back up and was like in shock, like, holy shit, this guy decked me. And you know, so now that I think about it, that was a pretty physically challenging trip for my dad. But hey, I was little and I had a blast, and I'd love to go again. So whenever you guys want, let me know.
So when I go skiing, it's with a big group of people. It's my family, and my dad's partner's family, and usually we ski as a big group. And so like I don't really get to go on like all the runs that I want to, which is just fine. You know, you're with a group, you gotta be with the group. But it was towards the end of the day, and my dad's like, take Omar Jr. and Bob, my brother, like take them on a run and like meet us down like at the center base or whatever. I get on the wrong lift. Right? Bro, and we're on the lift. I'm like, this is going really, really high. Like, this is going really fucking high. Dude, the weather's turning, bro. It is turning black. Like, it is like the worst possible conditions, dude. Like, probably like 5 feet of visibility. Like, it is coming down. Full blizzard, dude. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I get to the top. I'm looking around, dude. Only blacks and double blacks. I'm like, oh my God. I have 2 children with me, and I have to lead them down this mountain. How do I navigate this? I'm not an instructor. How do I ensure their safety? I can't see. What am I gonna do? So we end up I send Bob and Chicho in front of me, and I go, you guys are going to take this as slow as possible. Because this is a black, dude. Like, this is like a legitimate, like, steep-ass black in Park City. Like, the weather is, I'm telling you, 5 feet of visibility, tops. I'm like, look, at every sign that you see, you stop. Okay? You take it as wide as possible. If you go straight down, when I meet you at the bottom, I'm going to punch you in the fucking throat. Because if you get hurt, that's on me. Right? I brought him up there. I brought him on the wrong lift. So if they get hurt, it's on me. Bro, I let them go first. They're doing fine, bro. Like, they're going. It's not that steep of a black. It's still steep, but it's like not that bad. They get to the first time. All right, good job, guys. Let's keep going. The next one, fucking like that, dude. Fucking like that, straight to the bottom. Oh my god. Oh my god. They start eating shit, right? Because bad weather conditions, not whatever. I'm just picking them up from the back, like their back collars. Like, get back up. Let's go. Come on, we gotta go. We gotta power through. Let's go. I mean, it was fine. No one died. No one broke it. No one tore an RCL. No one tore a meniscus. It was fine. It was just fucking terrifying. I had someone else's kid with me, and I was responsible for his life. Because you could get so fucked up skiing, dude. You could get so fucked up. When we went skiing together most recently, someone fucking died. Someone ran into a pole or a sign, and fucking died, dude. It was a famous person. It was a famous person's son. Just went straight into a sign and fucking died. You could break a leg, dude. You could get so hurt skiing if you don't know what you're doing. If you go on the wrong chairlifts and you are forced to go down a black, you are fucked. If you don't know how to do it, you are fucked.
That was the issue with like our drop-in run, because it was like, if we drop in and fall immediately, like the run is steep enough where at that 5-foot drop in, like we have enough speed that we're going to roll like down a majority of the mountain, like pretty quickly, with the skis or without them. So it's like, dude, the amount of adrenaline you have, like knowing that the whole entire run could be screwed up in the first 3 seconds, it's rough. It is.
It's not like skiing's an inexpensive thing, right? It's like you need to buy the lift tickets and if you don't own skis, you have to rent skis. If you don't, you need to buy like the lift tickets for like however long you're going to be there. So if you get fucked up on the first day, you are fucked, dude. Like you spent all that money for absolute jack diddly dick.
For a lot of people, it's the most expensive broken leg they ever got. Pay what? Several grand, come out with a broken leg. Paid $7,000 for a broken leg. How about that?
Producer Marco just sent in that Michael Schumacher, a 7-time F1 world champion, was injured while skiing. World-class athlete, injured while skiing. Can't happen to anyone, man. You make a wrong turn, your ACL's gone, dude. You make a wrong turn, you break your leg, dude. Those boots are heavy, man. Nick, tell us some. You love Costa Rica, right? Tell us some experience you had in Costa Rica. Let's move on to a different climate, a different region of the world.
Yeah, we're gonna get a little more tropical here. So I went to Costa Rica twice in my life, and the reason why Ray brings up Costa Rica is because, man, that's my favorite place to visit. Favorite place. I went once with Andres here. We went on a trip that our moms actually planned for us. We were too young to make our own decisions back then, so we got pushed around, but it was pushed around in a very good way. We got to experience a lot of what Costa Rica has to offer, and when it comes to the best things about Costa Rica, I would say the fact that Costa Rica has so many different climates so close to each other. They have mountains, they have beaches, cold, hot, humid. They have all of that, and so it's really cool. You could experience a lot in a short distance. Another thing we did was what do you call it, zip lining, where you're zip lining and you're 600 feet above 200 feet trees. Yeah, so you're 800 feet up, and that's pretty badass. It's scary, but it's badass. And then the best thing about it is the food, hands down. Guys, I'm a fruit lover. Right, I love fruits. I think bananas are one of my favorite fruits, and I had a banana there, and my whole life changed. My whole life changed right before my eyes. If you eat a banana here in America, I don't know, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but here in America, if you eat a banana and you go in Costa Rica and eat another banana, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's like having chicken and steak. It's just not the same at all. You know, so I highly encourage people to go there, get the coffee, get the banana, see the monkeys, okay? See the monkeys, see the women's, okay? Beautiful women's over there, beautiful beaches.
Black sand beach.
Black sand beaches, very nice, very soft, no rocks. I got to see Andres do a little dance, shake the hips while we were there. Andres was dancing. He was dancing with some Latin men.
I'll jump in and share a little bit about this trip because it was an awesome experience. I guess I'll start with the dancing part because Nick led off with that. We had a dancing class where we had two women come and show us how to dance. And, you know, I've got great hips. I was in great shape. I was like a sophomore in high school. I was peak form. You know, I was loose. And I'm dancing with this grown woman, and I think we're doing great. I think we're having a great dance. And apparently it got a little too intense. It was a little too inappropriate of dance moves going on, and they shut it down. They literally shut the program down.
I can confirm that this is true. We were there with some American people, and they're not used to, you know, that sexy dancing style with the hips and the women's butt region area, you know, shaking it. And so there was a lot of that going on, and it was, I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. There's no other word for it. But the American women there were very uncomfortable with it. Now, Andres, man, never saw a bigger smile on his face in my life. but that was funny. That was true.
So yeah, so they shut it down. Asked the ladies to leave. We didn't get our full dance class. Seemed to have been my fault. I don't think I did anything wrong. I think I was just enjoying myself and expressing my Latin heritage. But that's besides the point. But yeah, the trip was awesome. I mean, we really got to see a lot of cool things from Costa Rica. We got to go on a horseback tour. We got to go whitewater rafting. Like Nick said, we got to go zip lining. But I mean, at least to me, the best part was we got to give back to the community. And when we say we were in Costa Rica, we weren't staying in the resort in the city in Costa Rica. We're about 2.5 hours from a main city. We were at a hotel that is not a hotel anymore. It was abandoned, but it was purchased by this program to have a large hotel to bring people into that's close enough to the rural cities that you go work in for those week and a half that you do. And the hotel was awesome. Like, it was awesome. It was not modern. Like, we didn't have AC. We didn't have, like, really nice bathrooms, but, like, we're right on the beach. We're in, like, this remote area. It was super cool. We're with 50 people from around the world that we just met when we got there. And I think Nick got a much less fulfilling job that he got to do. He was stirring concrete and building a sidewalk at the hospital. So, you know, he was doing the good man's work, but it wasn't as fulfilling. I myself got lucky. I got to go to a small city and rebuild their park for all the kids. And what was cool about that was all the kids would come and hang out with us because this was during the summer. So all the kids weren't in school. They would come and hang out with us at the park. And we got a chance to experience. And when I say city, so that I could paint the picture for you guys, I mean, we're talking about the houses are built out of tin, and they have tarps as roofs. They have one convenience store. They have one church, and they have a park. That is literally the only thing available to these people in this little city. And forever, it's been known that the Costa Rican people are the nicest and happiest people in the world. It doesn't matter what they have. And I literally did get to see that because two examples was we got to play a cool soccer game where we played the city in soccer. And these kids are wearing no shoes on rocks. And I mean, like, bleeding out on the ground, like their feet are bloody, and they are smiling ear to ear, chest bumping, dancing, scoring goals. And I mean, that shows you a lot. But I had a personal experience with one of the little boys who was constantly coming, and we were still taking Spanish. My Spanish was pretty good at the time, and we didn't have, actually, interestingly enough, a lot of Spanish speakers that went to this. So I was able to talk a lot for other people and with just the kids. And I made a relationship with a kid who was 7 years old. He lived right there. I saw his house. I mean, the house might be 80 square feet with him, his mom, his dad, and his sister. They have a tarp for a roof and nowhere they cook on a fire outside. Like that's what this thing. And the kid comes up to me and he's telling me he's thirsty. So I gave him $10. And I mean, $10 goes a long way at this grocery store. I gave him $10 and I said, go buy whatever you want and bring it home. Because we technically weren't allowed to give them money, but I didn't care. I gave this kid $10. The kid goes to the store, buys himself a water and buys me a water and gives me my change back. And this is a 7-year-old who was like, I don't want your money. Like, I don't need it. The fact that you were able to, like, the fact that you even gave it to me and wanted me to go buy something was enough for me. Like, saying that in smaller kid terms. And the fact that he bought me a water, like, without asking, like, he wanted me to have what he had in that moment was so intense for me, because we're only 17, 16 years old, and I'm looking at this person's house, knowing what I have back home, and that this kid didn't want to take the money, didn't want to use it for anything. All he wanted was for us to share a water together, sit there and enjoy the park that we were building for him. And I mean, that is just so powerful. And it put a lot of things into perspective for us, because we're blessed. We live in beautiful Miami, Florida. Our parents have done really well for themselves. They've worked their asses off, all self-made individuals, and have given us this awesome life. And for anybody listening, I challenge you to go to these other countries and go just try and volunteer for a week, 2 weeks. See what other people in the world live like, and see how happy they are with the little bit that they have. And think about all of the times that you bitched and complained about the stupidest stuff back home, and it'll really put it into perspective. So I'm happy that Nick touched on that trip, because it was really amazing.
And I want to add on a sarcastic note first, because I have to do that. While Andres was breaking bread and having a little sips of agüita with this kid from the city, I was in a group with me, a big Egyptian kid named Tizie, and 7 girls. And I'll tell you what, the girls they didn't really want to mix concrete and pave sidewalks. You know, shocker, they didn't really want to. So it was me and Tizie who were the only ones working. And so it's pretty much, just so you guys know, if you're ever building a sidewalk, it's like 1 part rocks, 2 parts sand, and like 2 parts water. And then you got to mix it. You know, they have the mixer thing going. And then you got to get it nice and flat. So we were doing that. But I could also relate to what Andres is saying, because all the kids in the town, we gave them like candy bars and stuff, and I mean, truly, like, those are some of the happiest people I've ever seen. Like, honestly, way happier than like 99% of the Americans that I've seen. And that's my question to you guys, is that, and I was watching a thing on Netflix the other day. It's a tribe, and they're very primitive. They're like, their entertainment is they get like these bamboo type sticks, and they pretty much fight. The men fight, right?
Shit out of each other.
They smack the shit out of each other, and the first one to like fall because of the pain, he loses and the other guy wins. But that's what the show's about. But really, what I'm trying to touch on is their mentality in life is like they're super happy. And I personally think that all of people who have less in general and less complexities in their life, less things to think about, like they don't have to think about, I got to pay my bills, my car payment, and then I got to, they're happier. And Andres and I got to see that firsthand in Costa Rica, and I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that there's like do you ever feel like there's a part of you that would want to live a simpler life where money is like almost completely out of the picture, and you're just kind of I guess Americans would call it like going back in time and backtracking a few hundred years, whatever, to what we were. Like, what do you guys think?
I definitely think about that all the time, and I was actually joking with my grandma recently, and Nick and Ray know my grandma, about the least technical savvy person you could ever imagine. Has an iPhone, but can't fathom having a password on it because how could she remember four numbers? Had a full conversation with me asking if when someone Zells you, that the bank mails the check to your bank. Like someone takes that money and drives it to your bank and puts it in your account because she just couldn't comprehend how money was electronically transferred from account to account. And we were just talking and I was like, I feel like I'm jealous of you. Like I wish I lived in that time where I didn't have a phone. Like when I was leaving the house, like I would tell my boys at school, hey, we're going to meet at the Mickey D's on 163rd at 4 o'clock. And we'd leave school at 2:30. And, if you didn't show up at 4 o'clock, you missed it. You weren't there. But there's no way for me to call my friend and be like, hey, are you going to make it? Or text them, where are you, bro? Like, I've been here for 5 minutes. I don't see you. Or have to notify people constantly, like, hey, I'm leaving the house. Or to be like, oh my God. Like, the other day I was thinking, like, I want to turn my phone off. Like, let me turn my phone off for 2 hours just to feel like a disconnect. But then I'm like, instantly, oh my God, what if somebody needs me? Like, what if the odd chance that like one of my parents needs to get in touch with me in that moment? Or what if my brother is in a situation and I need to answer? And that's never happened. And I've had a phone for years. But just that immediate like impulse, it's like, oh my God, I can't disconnect because like, what if I'm not there for somebody? What if I miss something? And I kind of wish I lived in that time where, it didn't matter. Like you wouldn't know till the next day, or you wouldn't know till you saw that person. You didn't have to check in, or you didn't have to make a phone call and say, hey mom, like I'm leaving. Like if you're gone, you're gone. Like they're not worried. Like you probably went to see your friends. You probably went to go meet at the park and shoot hoops. And it's like there's too many options. Like there's too many things to do. There's too many ways to find different plans, ideas. It's literally so overwhelming. It's like, oh, let's go out. Where? There's 350 places. Oh, let's go play basketball. All right, where? There's 50 courts and we all live in different areas. Let's find one in the middle. Or let's go watch a movie. What movie theater? There's like 80 movies out and we can go to 7 different types of experiences. You want to sit in the reclining chair? Do you want to go to the regular one? Do you want to go to the IMAX movie? Do you want to go to the 4D all-inclusive? It's just like too many options. I wish I lived, like you said, back in that time where it was simple. You had like 3 options, yes, no, or maybe. Went out. You're going to meet people here? Okay. You're going to go do this? Okay. You need to tell somebody where you're going? No, it's not their fucking problem. They're going to mind their own business. You're going to go do your own thing. But now it's like everybody's in everybody's business. And it's like cool to be like, oh, look at me, I'm here. Look at me, I'm here. And like, I think like everybody suffers from that because it's like that social status that's been built up with this social media and this constant connection where everybody, like there's people from high school, nothing against people from high school, but like, I don't really give a fuck like what you're doing, like, or where you're at or what you're up to. And like I have to know now, yeah, there's some people from high school. Like I have to know now what you're doing because I follow you on social media. And I guess you could just unfollow the person. But in the moment when I followed you, it was probably a situation where I needed to. We mutually followed each other. But now 6 years later, I have to know that you're doing this or doing that, or you're here or you're doing this. So it's just like I wish like it was just more simple. I mean, I have to do shit.
I think more money, more problems, man. The more money you have, the more it takes for you to feel fulfilled. In a sense, I feel like the less you have, the more it means. So, I think to a certain extent, people that don't have as much, not necessarily like not. I feel like in this country, it's not necessarily true. You know what I mean? I feel like in different places where there's not a lot of generational wealth, or there's not a lot of, there's not like a large middle class. I feel like that's mostly where you see people that are okay living with what they have, like they're genuinely content. You know what I mean? It just in that sense, it takes less for them to be fulfilled, to be satisfied, to remain happy. And I mean, I think that's definitely a beautiful thing, man. It's definitely a beautiful thing. I think it's great. I went to Costa Rica in 2015, and I had an absolutely great time, dude. Like it's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country. There's, like you said, there's so much to see there. There's so many different types of terrain. I mean, you got the beaches, you got the mountains, you got volcanoes. It's fucking nuts, bro. You got the rainforest. I went whitewater rafting, and our guide pulled over to the side. He's like, "You guys want pineapples?" I'm like, what? What? Like, what are you talking about? You have a pineapple with you? He's like, "No, like from right there, like growing out of the ground." I'd never had a pineapple at that stage of my life. I wasn't interested by it. Dude, that was the best fucking piece of fruit I'd ever put in my mouth. This man pulled it out of the ground, fucking chopped it up right there. I was like, oh my fucking God, dude. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is the best fruit I've ever... And I eat pineapple now because of how good it was. And it will never be as good as it was growing from the side of the fucking whitewater rafting. It was ridiculous. And like I said, the bananas are fucking nuts, dude. It is nuts. I've never had fruit like that in my life. Like, everything that you do in Costa Rica is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Okay. Looks like we're gonna skip the hot take here, so I can talk a little bit about my travel experiences. All right, cool. Exciting.
I just want to make one thing. I'm not a fruit guy, and I was devouring the fruit in Costa Rica when I was with Nick, because these guys like fruit. I don't like fruit, and I was eating shit that I don't like because it was so juicy. It was like candy, but good for me.
And last thing, that's with all the food, man. And like, it makes me jealous. Like, they go like that, like your example, Ray. You just pulls a pineapple, boom, out of the ground, and it's the best thing ever. And then here, the way it is now, it's like, do I get this fruit, or do I get that one? That one, okay, I know they put these certain chemicals on it. And this one, I know that's what it's come down to. And there, it's just like, you want fruit? You want that one right there in the ground? Okay, hold on. Let me grab it. Like, I get jealous of it, dude. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a different life. But it's awesome, dude. It's hold on. It's amazing. If you haven't been to Costa Rica, I highly recommend it. I went to this isn't, I'm just like, I went to this past summer. I went to the Amalfi Coast, which has to be like my favorite place on earth, to be honest with you, dude. It was the most amazing, breathtaking. Like, I had a boat day that was just like, honestly, it was one of the best days of my life, dude. Like, I've never had a day like that and ever. Just pure happiness, bro. Drinking with my dad, with my family, smoking cigars. Water was cold as tits, but it did not matter. Like, bro, just absolutely impeccable views. Like, it was a beautiful experience. If you haven't been to the Amalfi Coast, I highly, 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 highly recommend it. Like, probably the prime honeymoon spot in the world, I'd say. Like, that's definitely where I would want to go on my honeymoon, just because of how fucking insane.
I got a phone call from Ray, drunk, while he was in the Amalfi Coast, saying something along the lines of, "Bro, this is like definitely where you should take Beatrice, like on a honeymoon, bro. Like, this is where babies are made, bro. This is beautiful."
I can guarantee you that a lot of babies have been made in the Amalfi Coast. I can guarantee you that. But no, man. I mean, aside from that, I want to note how different travel has been since after COVID. I have never had like weird airport experiences or weird airplane experiences in my life until after COVID. Like, I have to fly home from school, like, whenever I do fly, dude, and like, I have not had one regular experience. Not one. Like, every flight I've had some fucked up shits happen. So let's go back. I went to go visit, and this is brother Nico in Tallahassee. I went to go visit, and this is brother. I'm gonna say the beginning of the story too. I went to go visit, and this is brother Nico in Tallahassee from Kansas. So I need to take a connecting flight. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get airport drunk. I have to, right? Because like Tallahassee, this and that. I take down 2 double Tito's within 10 minutes. That's 4 Tito's. That's 4 Tito's. I am fucked up. I am very, very, very fucked up. Go to the bathroom. Gotta take a shit before you board any plane, boys. You have to take a shit. Because if not, you run the risk of shitting yourself on the plane, or even worse, having to shit in the bathroom. Yes, shitting in the bathroom of a plane is worse than shitting yourself on a plane. I said that. Anywho, I sit down, take a shit. I'm shitting. I am so drunk, I put my entire hand inside the toilet with the shit inside of it. Why? I miscalculated. I missed my butthole. I went straight into the water. My hand is. I now have duty. I now have.
It's that wide that you missed it.
No, it's just the bowl. The bowl was not that deep.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
Yeah, shallow bowl. So boom, hand in duty water. Whatever. Hand up. You got whatever. You got to fix it. You got to roll the punches. I'm done. I'm out of there. I sit on the back of the plane. Yes, I'm on the back of the plane. They de-upgraded my seat. I upgraded my seat. They de-upgraded me. Move me to the back of the plane. Whatever. I'm drunk. I don't care. I'm going fast. We're running out of time. I'm in the back of the plane. Everything's fine. I have my earphones in. So you don't talk to people next to you on a plane. You can't. It's not proper. Producer Marco does it. It's fucked up. Don't do that, people. Anywho, I'm fucked up on the plane. I have my earphones in, and I hear yelling. I hear real life yelling, and I'm like, "What's going on, man? What's going on?" I turn around. It's literally happening right next to me. This woman is cracked out. Like, I look at her eyes. I'm like, "Oh, that person's on drugs." She's on drugs. She's screaming at the flight attendant, like screaming at her. And the flight attendant's not having it, bro. She is screaming right back at her. I'm like, this is crazy. I only see these things on Twitter. Like, I'm in this right now. It's happening. And I don't know if it got. I don't know how much it escalated, but I get very uncomfortable in this type of situation. I get secondhand embarrassment. So I was secondhand embarrassed for the cracked out lady. But it was very uncomfortable. Someone took a video and I started airdropping it around to like the whole plane. I got it. It was pretty awesome. Maybe we could plug it in here. I don't know. Whatever. We land. Next flight. I'm going to Tallahassee from Charleston. This guy in front of me is watching the entire Top Gun 2. The new Top Gun. He's watching the entire thing with no headphones. No headphones. He's watching the action parts, and then when they would speak, he puts it to his ear. I had to watch, and he's not wearing a mask, dude, and the person next to him was wearing a mask, and he's coughing across the aisle in their faces, dude. In like literally, like he's going like purposely like in their face. Ridiculous. Whatever. Great time in Tallahassee. My most recent flight experience. I don't sleep very well because my flights are always in the morning to Miami. Like, there's only 2 flights available, 6 a.m. or like 5 p.m. And I want to get home as early as possible. So when I go to the 6 a.m. flight, I need to wake up. I need to leave my apartment by 3 to get there on time. I have a car service pick me up. I don't sleep that night. I've just taken a final. I woke up at like 7 the previous day. I don't go to sleep. I've been up for a very, very long time. Right, so I go through TSA, everything. I get there really early. I'm like, all right, I need to go to sleep. Like, I'm in the airport. I'm like, I'm not an airport sleeper, but I need to go to sleep. So I close my eyes. I close my eyes in the airport. I was asleep for probably 45 minutes, and I open my eyes and I see this woman with one leg in a wheelchair, old, and she's approaching me from TSA, dragging. I'm like, no. I close my eyes again. Probably like a minute later, I open my eyes. She's getting closer. She's wheeling. She's dragging her foot, wheeling towards me. I'm like, God, please no. At this point, I'm just up, right? I'm just like on my phone, my earphones in, trying to avoid it. She gets right next to me. She taps me. Can you help me find my flight? Pass me your ticket. I'm like, oh my God. Yes, I will help you find your flight. I'm in the American Airlines section of the flights. She's on Air Alaska. Like, oh man, okay. I walk to like the end of the terminal. I'm like, look, like your flight's not here. Like, it's probably over there somewhere. She's like, okay, can you find someone to wheel me over there? I'm like, oh, yes, I will try finding someone to wheel you over there. I walk right back, like all the way down. Walk back, like, look, I couldn't find anyone to wheel you over there. Like, I'm really sorry. She's like, no, it's okay. And she just like looked at me, like waiting for me to offer like to wheel her over there. And I was like, I gotta go. My flight's boarding. Like, like if my flight wasn't boarding, I would have done it. Like, I swear to you, I would have done it. But my flight was really boarding, and I didn't know where Alaska was. So like, she like backwards wheeled herself back into the TSA to find someone to do it. And then the same day, bro, this is the last part, and then we'll end it. The same day, the next flight, because there was a connecting flight to Charleston. I got to Charleston. Charleston to Fort Lauderdale is an hour and 20 minutes, roughly, right? So I'm on the plane to Charleston. I don't talk to people on planes. It's a social, it's weird. You just don't do it, bro. Put your earphones in and just be quiet. Put my earphones in, I'm not looking at the person next to me at all. Go to the bathroom, I come back, I sit down, earphone's still in. She looks at me, she goes, oh, he's a Dolphins fan. Like, loud enough where, like, I have to respond, right? Yes, ma'am, I'm a Dolphins fan, yeah. She's like, oh, we're Bills fans. I'm like, oh, and we were playing the Bills. I'm like, oh, yeah, like, tough game, like, coming up. She's like, yeah. Whatever, like, I guess, like, chit-chatting for, oh, we're from Charleston, this and that. She goes, I brought 30 shooters of vodka through TSA. I go, what? She goes, I brought 30 shooters of vodka through TSA. I go, okay. She goes, yeah, I was worried, and I could tell she's drunk now after she told me this. Before, I just didn't tell, but she goes, yeah, I was worried because, like, you know, when I was sitting next to you, I was speaking to my husband, like, I was worried because I thought you were going to smell my breath. And this whole thing's full of vodka. This is a 28 ounce bottle of water with like a squeeze, like a sucking cap on top. Of vodka, full of vodka. And I'm like, oh my God. She's like, do you want some? I'm like, no, man, that's in violation of federal law. and she's drinking, dude. She's drinking. Like, she is so fucked up. Like, repeating what she says. Louder and louder. Like, how she is actively drinking on an airplane. Louder and louder and louder. People are turning around, dude. And her glasses fall. Like, and we're on like the back is like it's like a wall, right? And so like there's like no one behind us, but her glasses fall. She's like, "Can you get those for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I got you. Like I don't know where they are, but I could look." And I have my long hair at the time, right? So like I'm bending over like into her seat to try finding it. She combs her hair through. She combs her hands through my hair. She goes, "Your hair's so soft." I'm like, yeah, you know, like, thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. I get her glasses, and she's like, he found my glass. This guy's the best. This guy's so cool. He's awesome. Wrapping up, I promise. He's awesome. He's so cool. Getting louder. I'm gonna fucking lose my shit, dude. Like, she's touching me now. She's like on my shoulder and shit. Her husband's right next to her. Bro, it is an hour and 20 minutes from Charleston to Fort Lauderdale, and she is like a 9 out of 10 drunk before 12 o'clock. Like, it was ridiculous. And anyways, we land the plane, right? I'm like, all right, I need to get out of here. Like, this is it. Like, this is it. And you know how when people leave the like when they deplane, you're not supposed to pass a person that is, you know, in front of you. Like, it's just a fucked up thing to do. So.
And if you do need to pass somebody because you have a connecting flight, respectfully ask people, hey, I need to get out of here. We're delayed. I got to get through.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the proper thing to do. But there are certain situations where, like, that's not going to fly, and you're really not supposed to pass the people that are in front of you. Anyways, like, we're very far from being able to stand up and like start the deplaning process. The lady looks at me and she goes, "Get in the aisle." I go, what? Like, I'm very firm on my belief that you should not do this, but I'm uncomfortable. She goes, "Get in the aisle." Okay, I'm like, all right. I'm staying in the aisle now. She goes, "Get my bag for me." My bags for me? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Get her 2 bags for her. And now she's just like crouched, like ready to go in the aisle. She's crouched like under the thing, like looking at me for a very long time. Anyways, things are moving along. Last part of the story. Things are moving along. He gets some dude that is behind this other guy, like cuts in front of him before he can go. And this guy is very not happy about it. He's like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Like what are you doing? You gotta wait." And the guy like sizes him up and is like, "What?" You gotta wait. You gotta wait, motherfucker. Like some shit like that. And it's like it's getting loud. I'm like, oh my God. And the guy throws his dukes up. And then full-blown man shoves him in the chest. Whew, down the aisle. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like every fucking fight I'm on, something happens. And they both throw their dukes up. And the drunk lady next to me goes, boys! Hey, boys, cut it out! I want to get off this flight. You cut it out! Bro, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is an absolute nightmare flight. This is a nightmare flight. Point is, if you want to travel, stay away from American Airlines. Stay away from it.
Upgrade to first class.
Literally, if I would have upgraded to first class, many of the things I just told you about would not have happened.
And most importantly, do not bring a Chobani yogurt, the drinkable yogurt, on the flight. I tested positive for explosives flying to Washington because they found the liquid, the Chobani yogurt. I'm in high school here. And then they're like, oh, we got to swab it. They swabbed it, tested positive for explosives. So they had to bring me to the back room, and they had to, touch my balls, touch my knees, touch my elbows, all that shit. And they found out that wasn't me. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not that kind of guy. So I got to fly, and I went to Washington. But don't bring yogurt on the flight. Don't.
You're not that guy.
I'm not that guy.